Welcome back to MgM Paints and a tutorial on how to paint Tau. I'll be using this Pathfinder as an example today as I work on painting up my kill team from the Chalnath box. As a quick disclaimer, I'm not a pro painter, as you'll soon see. I'm not an artist, I don't own an airbrush, I'm just an average painter using basic techniques to slay the gray. This guide is aimed at hobbyists that may have some of those things in common. You won't win any awards, but I think you'll find the miniatures will look good on the tabletop. And also, I use a more traditional method to paint my miniatures versus contrast, so kick back, relax, and enjoy painting with me if that's what you're doing. Now, like many of my painting guides, I use a gray primer, and this one is Rustoleum Grey. It's a rattle can, sprays nice and even, doesn't clog any details, and with a few passes I get nice even coverage on the mini. The first paint that I'm going to go with here is a nice dark brown, and I picked Vallejo Burnt Umber. You could use any brown that you have in your collection. We're going to darken this brown down with a shade later on. I also paint about half the team with black pants, so you could go that route as well. There will be various areas to capture here on the front and back of the pants, as well as under the armor and the arms as well. There will also be a piece up on the neck that you'll want to get in this color as well. Now, as far as mistakes go, I'm not even worried about it at this point. In fact, when we're laying down base colors, I hardly worry about any kind of spill because it'll be very easy to go back and touch up. We are now going to switch over to the armor, and we are going to use Citadel's XV88, and this is the base coat. I went out and bought kind of the Tau Sept colors so I could kind of mirror that scheme, but we are just going to lay this down over the armor bits, including this chest piece, the back, as well as the shoulder pads, a knee pad, and then the gun, as well as the communication device that's on his head. So just take your time working around the model. I do grab some of the accessories he's wearing with this color as well. And it may take you 2 coats to get nice even coverage. If you just want to go with one and some of the color is still transparent, that's okay because we're going to shade it down and go over with a layer color anyway. So while 2 coats isn't necessary, I do go over it twice just to get nice even coverage. And with that main base coat complete, we're going to switch over to Citadel's The Fang, and we're going to get some of the skin pieces, including the head, and then he's going to have some little areas around his feet as well that we will catch with this color. Okay, next, one of my favorite colors, which is Vallejo German Grey. It is not a pure black. I'm going to get the device he is holding with this color. I'm also going to get his nails that are down on the hooves. There's going to be pieces of the gun I will get with this color as well. His hair that's coming out, as well as the device that is protruding from his backpack. So again, if you make a mistake here and spill over, that's okay. We are just working with base colors right now, so you probably still have some of the other colors on your palette. You could easily go back and touch those up right now, or just wait to the end and do a final touch-up of everything. Next, I'm going to work on some of the straps that he's wearing. Occasionally you'll find one of these going around the knee pad, but I believe this one is covered up by the pants. So we're going to get the belt, and for this I'm using Vallejo Beige Brown. You could easily make this black or whatever color you wanted. There's also a strap that will go around his head. Okay, and for our last base color, I'm just going to go in with some Vallejo Bronze and get this little bit in the gun that is kind of that gold color. And once complete, we will be ready to give this model a shade. All the base colors are done. If you made any mistakes, this is a great time to go back and touch those up. As a quick note, when you're painting with metallics, you want to use a brush that you just use for metallics. As you can see, this brush has been through a few things. But metallic paints will tear up your brushes, so don't use your good ones when you're painting metallics. With our base coats complete and the model tidied up, we are ready to give this a wash, and I am going to be using Nuln Oil. This is from Citadel, and it is just straight from the pot. applying this liberally all over the model, getting it into all the nooks and crannies. And you want to just pay particular attention to where it pulls. You just kind of want to wipe that away. We're going to be going over all of this anyway with additional colors, so it's not a massive deal. Just go ahead and slap this on. Give it about 45 minutes to dry before you move on. Alright, with that shade dry, we're going to move into probably the most time-consuming part of the paint job, and we're using Citadel Tau Ochre. This is going to take you 2 coats to get a nice even coverage over that XV88. But we are going to be going over all of the armor, but we want to go down just enough to where you see that shade and kind of that darkness where 2 points connect. So like with the pants here, kind of leaving a little bit of brown there, and you'll be able to see it here on the armor as I go around the emblem. We're not trying to cover everything, and we want to leave that darker XV88 with the shade in all of those crevices. So we're just going to be painting to the edge as close as you can. If you happen to spill into the nooks and crannies, that's okay. You can go back in with your Nuln Oil and just shade that back down. This process is a bit tedious, but I was pretty happy with the overall result. You will want a nice finely tipped brush when doing things like this. I'm going to put a link down in the description for the brushes that I use. So being as careful as possible and avoiding those recesses, we're going to go around highlighting up the armor panels, the gun, the backpack, and anything that we put this XV88 on. And after 2 coats, the model has nice even coverage of the Tau Ochre. And on that second coat, you don't have to go as far down towards the crevices as you did with that first one. You just want to get nice even coverage. You can create a nice transition there. But now we're going to move into the final highlight on this armor, and I go with a Vallejo Dark Flesh. You could use any kind of bright fleshy tone for this color, and we are just going to go around the hard edges of the model, giving this a final highlight. Some areas to think about when applying this color are going to be where 2 pieces of armor meet, and hard edges along the backpack as well as the gun, and even some of the accessories that he is wearing, like the case, as well as across the shoulder pads. Remember to pick a good tool for the job. On this one, you will want to use a fine detail brush with a good point, and a lot of times on these hard edges, as you just see, that you'll want to use the side of your brush, sometimes the tip, but sometimes if you can angle the model correctly, use the side of your brush to get those sharp edges. So just take your time working your way around the model, getting those edges. It will take some time, but just remember that painting is fun. It's another piece of the hobby. For me, it's nice stress relief. It's not a race, and the end result will be well worth the effort. Alright, with those highlights done, we're pretty much getting close to the end here. I do go back in with the Fang to bring those skin tones back up, starting with the face, and this will help when we apply some highlight colors, just to have that darker Fang color going to the actual Fang, and then into our highlights. So really quickly, just going to touch over the high points on the skin, bringing some life back to those cheekbones and the chin, the top of the head as well as the feet. And then we're going to go in and hit it with our highlight color, which is going to be Citadel's Rust Grey. It's kind of like we're painting Space Wolves here. This is where I guess this scheme comes from. And we're going to work on getting some of the higher points on the face, such as above the eyes, the brows there, the outline of the nose, which is on the forehead of these guys. Get those cheekbones, get the chin, and then start at the top of the head where light would be hitting it and work your way outwards. We're just trying to show where light would be hitting the model, and we're also going to get some of this color down on the feet as well. Now you may find with this color it will take you 1 extra coat to get some nice even coverage, but use that as an opportunity to create some transitions, maybe not go as far down with that next layer, and you'll have something that looks like this. Now for our hard highlight color on this, I'm going to use Wolf Gray from Vallejo Game Color, and we're just going to get the sharpest points of the model with this color. Some areas to note would be kind of the top of the brow, maybe a little bit on those cheekbones to really accentuate those. If the model had a protruding nose, this is where you would use this color. I also go across kind of the top of the lip as well as the chin. If you happen to go nuts here and make a line that's too thick, it's totally not a big deal. I actually do this here and I go back in with my Rust Gray after I try to wipe it off. And you can go back in with your Rust Gray and touch that up and make that line as thin as you want. Alright, the end is now in sight. I'm going through with a Vallejo Tan Earth to give some highlights to the pants. And just, again, going through the highest points. You could do a dry brush here to bring some color out kind of on the knees, but I just do some marks of my own along where the knees would be hitting light and things like that. Just work your way around the brown areas with this color. Any kind of tan color would do, creating some highlights. And for the areas we painted black, I will come in with a Vallejo Green Gray and just give those a quick edge highlight. Again, this includes the device that he's holding, the hair I'll go through and give some highlights, as well as the device from his backpack and the gun. Now I will go through and just add some accent colors, reds, blues, greens, anything like that on some of these buttons just to kind of make those stand out. I will get some scopes on the gun with like a turquoise color to kind of make those stand out a little bit. I'm also going to add some color to that little backpack piece that he is wearing as well, just to give some contrast. You could go through and shade these as well, put a little white dot in the top left corner like a lot of people do, and that will take this a step further. Lastly, I go back through with a Vallejo Beige Brown just to give some highlights to the belt and to the leather type areas that he's wearing. I will also hit that little ball on his gun with some gold to highlight that back up as well. Apply with a base of your choice. For this one, I'm using something new. This is Vallejo Earth Texture. I'll put an affiliate link down below if you're interested in that. Very similar to Devlin Mud, but you get a lot of this stuff for a great price. It goes on extremely well. I actually switch up to use a brush here to kind of smudge this around, but I am really digging this stuff. You can certainly paint it in a lot of different colors. But I'm going pretty simple on these guys, at least at first. I just put this on, let it dry. I highlight it up with a little bit of Iraqi sand, and I will finish these guys off with some tufts, and they'll be ready for the tabletop. The picture here shows various models that I have completed for the Tau so far, and I'm really looking forward to getting these guys introduced into our Kill Team campaign. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this painting video, and I hope you got something of your own painted today. A big shout out to the 2022 Coffee Supporters Club. Your names are on the screen now. If you'd like any more information on that, a link will be down in the description below. Quite frankly, if you've watched the video this far, you've done more than enough to support my channel. Feel free to leave a like, as that always helps as well. We will see you in the next one. Take care.